Hello and welcome to episode 225 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here as always with Michaela. Michaela, 200, we're like a quarter of the way to 1,000 episodes. Keep
We
them
sure
coming, keep
are.
them, keep them coming, keep them coming. Maybe we'll hit 1,000 episodes before they get to 1,000 episodes of today's topic, but that's fine by me. Keep these things coming. Today we're
That's
talking
right.
about Jurassic World Rebirth.
That's right. I mean, they keep making blockbuster hits, and we're gonna
They
keep
keep
we're gonna
they keep
keep
saying
talking
they're
about them.
done doing them, and then they keep making
And
them.
then
Anyways,
they're like, it's amazing what,
bait and
three
switch.
hundred
That's
and
all right.
eighteen million dollars will do for you to change your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially in the first couple of days. As of this recording, um, yeah, we had a long weekend, and we had an especially long weekend because of the holiday. However, $318 million dollars for the new Jurassic World, and really the only thing I even saw about it was some ASMR from Scarlett Johansson talking about dinosaurs. It was
That's
enough to
that's
sell me
marketing
on the
done right,
entire
right
film.
there.
That's right. It's like we got a great idea. Let's not even discuss the plot. I honestly haven't seen this. I have no idea what this one's about. I imagine it's going to be more dinosaurs, more scary things,
Yeah. I mean, I
more.
love it. The trailers have done a good job. Yeah. I mean, the only thing they've shown in the trailer basically is that big like fish dinosaur like jumping up at the boat and everyone being
Yeah,
scared. Yeah, I love it. They've been doing a
looks
great
great.
job with the promotions. They've done red carpet events all over the world, creating some really great posters, and it seems like it's leaning pretty heavy into more of the monstery aspects of what these dinosaurs are evolving into, I guess, which makes sense, I guess. If you create something, evolution doesn't stop, even for resurrected dinosaurs. So we're going to see how that comes together. We're going to see how Scarlett Johansson fits into all this because spoiler, we haven't seen it yet, but we're going to go after we make up this week's cocktails. So let's do this, Michaela. Let's go ahead and grab some pineapple because we're going to need a bunch of that. We're going to need some basil. We're going to need a bunch of that. Luckily, I had some. And then we're going to mix up this week's drink. So we'll be right back and chat about that.
So Brian, we have covered Jurassic stuff, Jurassic World, Jurassic Park.
Hmm. Hmm.
I was so proud of our very first Jurassic Park cocktail because it was really sweet and it had this like really cool dinosaur egg cup that we used, and it was really
Hmm.
neat. So when
Yeah,
it came time for us to create a Jurassic World cocktail, I found one that I thought would be really amazing. And you were so cool because you looked at it and then you double checked and you were like, Michaela, this is exactly the same thing that we did before. And I was sad, but I was also excited because I at least know what I like to taste and show people at
that's
here at
true.
Drink the Movies. But then you immediately came back and said, "Hey, look, how about this one? This one is great. This one has a couple of things that we want to play around with. First of all, it's pineapple in the summertime. That's a great idea. You have
Hmm.
about 87 basil plants
Yeah,
that you need to get rid of
true.
or start or use. This has basil in it. It's got some vodka that's pineapple vodka, which is pretty tasty.
Hmm.
And so you found this drink is really long story short here. It's called the Velociraptor, and it is from Table Magazine.
Yeah, it is the Velociraptor from Table Magazine, which I think might have also been the name of the cocktail that we made for Jurassic World Dominion. Was that the last one that we did? I think so. But yeah, I found this and I thought that it looked really good and it seemed interesting because I had those ingredients, the pineapple and the basil. I'm like, that sounds like a really good combination. This sounds very summery. It looked really cool in the glass because this one requires some muddling of some ingredients. So that's always good and a fun way to mix up a cocktail. And yeah, so we thought we'd throw one of these together and check it out. And it turns out it was pretty good. So let's go ahead and make one of these. So what you're going to need is a tall cocktail glass. Here, you're going to end up with about 6 or so ounces of fluid in your cup. So keep that in mind when you're mixing that up. But into your tall glass goes 3 tablespoons of pineapple. You just want to make sure you get that kind of chunked up. So you can either I bought some like pineapple spears from
Mm.
the produce section of my grocery store. You could buy just like one of those like little like snack cups of pineapple or a can of like pineapple probably. So however you want to get your pineapple, but 3 tablespoons of that, 4 basil leaves, and then you're going to use a half an ounce of basil simple syrup. So what I did was I just made roughly like a quarter cup of simple syrup, and then I just threw a couple of basil leaves in there and let that steep while it cooled down. Basically, was how I got mine. Seemed like it gave enough basil flavor there with also the muddled basil leaves. So you got 3 tablespoons of pineapple, 4 basil leaves, and a half an ounce of that simple syrup. Go ahead and put that into your glass and then muddle it. It's going to get nice and juicy from the pineapple. It's going to bust up those basil leaves. It's going to smell incredible. And then go ahead and take that cup, fill it up with ice, and set it to the side.
Yeah, and then you're gonna take 2 ounces of pineapple juice, half an ounce of fresh squeezed lemon juice, 2 ounces of pineapple vodka, and then a dash or two of orange bitters. And you're gonna shake that into a shaker tin with ice, and then you're gonna strain that into the other glass right on top of the muddled concoction at the bottom. So it's gonna create this beautiful dual layer. Now the the picture at the table magazine looks way better than mine. Mine was like dark at the bottom. I don't know. My basil leaves were I don't know. I either muddled them too much or whatever. But it's still really cool because you got this like swampy kind of look at the bottom, and then it gets really like crisp, crystal, and like light colored at the top. It's really kind of neat. So I wouldn't mix it. I would leave it in this kind of duality and then sip it because it'll mix anyway. And but it looks really cool. I really like the way this one looked.
Yeah, it looks really neat. Yeah, because you have the muddled kind of vegetation, I guess, on the bottom, and then
Yeah, yeah.
it striates up. I garnish mine with one of those pineapple spears and a bunch of the basil there, so you get a nice pop of aromatic on the nose when you're drinking this. But yeah, sip and enjoy. You can give it a little stir after you've admired the way that it looks if you want to get some of that fruit juice up through there. But you don't really need that if you're using the pineapple vodka. This was nice. It was very light. It was very summery. It was very pineapple forward. You got like the aromatics from the basil. This was lovely. If you don't want to go the route of getting pineapple vodka, you could probably use plain vodka, and that's still going to get you, most of the way there, right? It's not going to be like as like punchy in the face pineapple, but it's still going to give you a lot of that fruit flavor that you're getting from both the pineapple juice and the muddled pineapple. The same could be said probably for the basil simple syrup because you are muddling some basil leaves in there. So basically, just doing those extra couple of things just really just kind of amplifies those flavors. So it really depends on what you want to do. I was thinking as I was drinking this, I believe I've seen at the liquor store now. I've not had a chance to try it, but I believe there's like a pineapple infused tequila
There is.
which I think would also be exceptionally good in this drink as well. So I might try to play around with that. And another thing that I thought might be good is in the bottom. You're already muddling things anyway. You got to clean that muddler. So why not throw like a slice or two of jalapeno in there in the bottom to muddle with that? Give you a little bit of spice on there. I
Mm.
think that would be a nice flavor addition as well. So I think that this one was really good and could certainly, be jazzed either up or down, kind of depending on what you're in the mood for.
Yeah, for sure. Dolce Vita is the pineapple tequila that I have had most recently. Um,
Okay.
and you and I are speaking the same language here because the exact same thought came to mind where it was like, oh, this would be actually pretty good with tequila, with pineapple flavored tequila. There's a ton of pineapple vodkas out there. Smirnoff does one. Deep Eddy does one. I think 360 does one. That one's going to
Mhm.
be a lot sweeter. So if you're gonna do something that is mostly sugar and a little bit of pineapple and a little bit of vodka, that's fine. Just make sure that you keep that in mind when you're adding your simple syrup, so you don't just have a sugar bomb drink, unless that's your thing. And then do you, babes? Yeah, I liked this one. I really liked the way it tasted. It was very fresh. It was very refreshing. With the pineapple, it felt. It was kind of nice because it wasn't rum. I'd been drinking a lot of rum this weekend
Mhm.
with pineapple juice, so this was kind of a nice take, and I really like the way it looked. Like I love the swampiness of the bottom. We're going to be on an island, I'm guessing, in, in Jurassic World. There's going to be a lot of, you know, elephant ear plants that are prehistoric that have been around for ages, and so it was kind of neat to have that duality in a glass as well as kind of in the movie that we're going to see. So that was neat. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a good one. Definitely mix one of these up and try it out and let us know what you think, or if you've ever had that pineapple flavored tequila, let us know what you thought about that too. But now that we have this made, Michaela, let's go ahead and drink these, and then we're going to be off to the movie theater to take in Jurassic World Rebirth. So let's do this. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna have to go and harvest some more basil. We'll mix up another drink, and then we'll be right back to chat about this week's film, Jurassic World Rebirth.
We're here to collect what's left. Just the DNA samples. In and out.
Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
Look out!
Let's go.
Spoiler warning for Jurassic World. If you've not seen this, you should, because it's good and filled with dinosaurs. But we're going to talk about all the things. And I'm not sure if there are any surprises really in this one, but if there are, we're going to talk about them. You've been warned. You've been warned. This is the spoiler warning. There we go.
You've been warned. Don't go to dinosaur infested islands in the middle of the ocean by yourselves. Warnings all around for this thing. Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
take
So
your two kids and their boyfriend on a cross world
well,
sailboat where no one
I
knows
guess
where you are. Let's
I
start
guess you
there.
I
That's
guess
a
you
good safety tip.
I guess you did give a spoiler warning. Yeah, absolutely. So don't do that either. But this you should go see this. It's a fun time. So it was released in 2025. It was directed by Gareth Edwards and it stars Scarlett Johansson as the mercenary for hire Zora Bennett. Her mercenary boat captain, Duncan Kincaid, is played by Mahershala Ali, and the pharmaceutical money man, Martin Krebs, is played by Rupert Friend. We also have a dinosaur expert helper, who is a doctor who works at a museum, but is also like James Bond-esque badass for some reason. Dr. Henry Loomis is played by the amazing Jonathan Bailey. So, Michaela, Jurassic World Rebirth, it is the next, I guess, kind of reboot of the Jurassic Park franchise. Obviously, we got the original Jurassic Park film came out in 1993. Steven Spielberg just banger, top grossing film of all time at the time of its release. It was based on the 1990 novel by Michael Crichton, and it spawned two sequels of its own, right? Jurassic Park, The Lost World, and Jurassic Park 3. And then they rebooted it again with Jurassic World, those three films with Chris Pratt. We just covered the most recent one of those, I think, just 2 years ago when that one came out. And I guess right after that released, and I guess it did well enough, they decided to go ahead and reboot it again. So we are back now for our third set of films coming everyone's way with Jurassic World Rebirth. So, Michaela, we've talked about the first Jurassic Park. We talked about the most recent Jurassic World installments. What is your history, I guess, with Jurassic Park before we get into this one?
So I remember hearing about Michael Crichton's book when I was in fifth grade. My science and math teacher, Miss Smith, she was horrible. But one thing she did tell me was that
Miss Smith sounds like a made up name.
no, that's her name, Mrs. Smith, and she was not like Mrs. Smith from Mr. and Mrs. Smith. That is for sure. She was awful, but one thing she did do was tell all the students how stupid they were for not like reading real books like
Yeah.
Jurassic Park. And she talked a little bit about this book when the preview came out for the first Jurassic Park movie, right? And she was like, look, this is going to be really good. The book was amazing and everybody should go check it out. So what did I do at the age of 11? I went and read the book and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, this movie's going to terrify me." And I watched it with my dad. We were one of the first people. This was back in the day when you couldn't reserve tickets ahead of time and you didn't have
Mm.
assigned seats. So if you wanted a good seat in a theater, you went and you waited in line. That's right, kids. This was back when rocks were soft. It's a crazy time.
Wow. My gosh.
These were when the chairs were on a swivel.
Michaela's yelling at clouds right now. Come on.
Right, right. It's horrible. Yes, and so I remember sitting in line for like an hour and a half for the very first opening. I don't know. It was a midnight showing or something, and my dad and I waited in line to go sit and have a good seat. And this was back when, the seats didn't even have numbers on them. So you had to count exactly how many were, how many would be right in the middle. So we sat right in the middle and of like the middle front, and it was amazing. And I have been a huge fan of Jurassic Park ever since. So even if, plots get tired or, Chris Pratt goes nuts, I still have to watch it. And luckily, this one did not disappoint.
This one did not disappoint. It kind of harkened back, I guess, a little bit to the feelings of the first film, in a lot of ways, and we'll kind of talk about that here as we make our way through this thing. But it also kind of treaded new ground and got into, I guess, territories that maybe make sense if you're going to keep something like Jurassic Park going, because that's the problem. I mean, there's such the big, aside from the fact that the original Jurassic Park film was, monumental and things, right? It's so like big the things that it does. Like how do you build onto a story with that? And the story goes is Michael Crichton had no intention of ever carrying on that story, but he received so much fan mail. He said especially from like kids that wanted to see more of that stuff, and that's why he wrote kind of the Lost World in the first place. So that's I guess kind of the birthplace of how this got started as more of a franchise thing as opposed to like a standalone thing. So here we are with Jurassic World Rebirth. It just comes out. It's directed by Gareth Edwards, who directed The Creator, I think, most recently, just a couple of years ago, that AI film kind of thing, and also directed Rogue One. So that's probably where him from, and he's back to tell this tale. Looking at the previews for this, I did a pretty good job of avoiding like all the previews and things for this, but it seemed like it was going to lean into more of the horror type of a thing from Jurassic Park or the Jurassic World, which is fair because there are definitely horror elements really to all of the films all the way back to the very beginning, but it seemed like this one really leaned more into it. Had a lot of like alien-esque vibes. So let's set up the story here a little bit, and then we can, just kind of have a chat about what we thought about some of the different things. So basically, the moral of the story here is Martin Krebs, played by Rupert Friend. He is I don't know what his position is with the pharmaceutical company. He's like the dark money guy, I guess, for the pharmaceutical company. And he's basically hired this mercenary Zora Bennett, played by Scarlett Johannson, to go to the dinosaur island where all these mutations have happened and retrieve some DNA from three prime dinosaurs, and they're basically going to be able to make a blood pressure pill to rule them all, basically, right? To get rid of like heart disease altogether. We're going to get this DNA. So that's what you do, right? Zora Bennett, she's somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million to get these things. That's a pretty good payday. So she assembles a team and they go to the island because the dinosaurs, if you remember from the last one, had kind of like spread out across the earth, but now their zone of livability has shrunk. So they're off to the island to get these DNA samples. That sets up basically the story, and then it's dinosaurs run amok from there. I want you to talk a little bit about kind of the intro to this, though, Michaela, because we have a bit of a flashback kind of a thing in this scientific laboratory, I guess, on the island that we're going to. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so one thing I did really love about that was this piece because it really harkened back to the very first Jurassic Park for me. If you don't remember, spoiler warning for anybody who's not seen the original Jurassic Park, but in the opening like 5 minutes, they are transporting some sort of animal. You never see it, but it's small. It's not like a T-Rex. You find out later that it's a raptor, but at the time you don't see what it is. And they have it in like a box, and they open this crate as it's like attached to its habitat and enclosure, and a person gets stuck in it, and it's really bad. And someone like the guy Khan is screaming, "Shoot her! Just shoot it! Just shoot it!" And they won't shoot it, and or they've shot it a bunch of times, but it's too late for this one guy. It's really terrifying. You have no idea what's going on, but it definitely changes and sets the tone. And I feel like that's what happens in this beginning of this film, because you see that it's in like 2010. You see that it's on an island. You see there's a whole bunch of like genetic mutation happening on purpose. This is never a good idea. I don't know why. Let's take the scariest things that roamed the earth and let's make them bigger or give them more claws. I don't know. This sounds like a real bad idea, people, but whatever. But there's this moment where there's this big, we don't even see what we're talking about here, but there's this moment where they're having to go in and run a test or do something with this giant dinosaur mutation. And they call it like the Distoris Rex or something like that. I mean, you have no idea. You know that it's big because of the Rex name. And the like door is like, I don't know, the size of Texas. It's huge. But yeah, there's a scary moment where somebody decides to have a Snickers bar, and even though they're in like hazmat suits, somehow he decides not to throw that Snickers wrapper away, and that
Yeah.
becomes his end.
Yeah, don't
Throw away
litter.
all your trash. Don't litter. Rule
This is
number
a
two.
cautionary tale about littering. Yeah, I was like, why is this guy eating a Snickers bar? Because yeah, it's like the most giant like clean room laboratory in the world. This first section was pretty good. I thought that was a little. I don't know. That was a little wonky, the way that he breaks the door. But they had to get the door broken somehow. So Snickers, I suppose, paid to have that be them. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But I really like this. Apparently, this was set in like 2010. But I loved like the lab itself. Like the consoles were like I don't know, just like these white like nondescript like consoles that look like something out of like 2001 Space Odyssey kind of thing.
Yeah,
There
they
in
were
the
very much
design.
1997. I don't know where 2010 came from. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, because they had like the dot matrix looking
Yeah, it was super. It was super.
monitors.
It was super. It was super like old looking, but yeah,
Hmm.
it was really cool. Like I thought it was a neat design, and then it very much leans into like the alien bit, right? Because they're all wearing like these hazmat suits that have the masks are lit up so you can see the actors and actresses' faces in there. He gets stuck in the room, and you just kind of see just like little like glimpses of this mutated dinosaur that they were making at this lab, I guess I guess dawn or before like the world of Jurassic World comes into play. So I thought that was pretty fun. And then fast forwards to today, or I guess 2027. I guess technically, I guess is where this is coming into play. And Zora Bennett, gets sent on this assignment. They go and pick up Dr. Henry Loomis, who's played by Jonathan Bailey. That's pretty good, I guess. But I guess they talk a lot about in this movie because you have to remember if you have watched the Jurassic World films, and I don't think that the story necessarily relies on that too much, but I think like the world building of that world, especially the last one, is really important for this because basically dinosaurs had been living amongst us in the world, right? So you have to like keep that in the back of your head when they're talking about all of these things because they're like packing up the museum because no one cares about going to see dinosaurs anymore because oh yeah, dinosaurs have been living amongst us. There's like a brachiosaurus is like stuck underneath of like the like some
Bridge.
overpass in New York kind of thing and all this stuff. So the team is off to go and get these DNA samples. I'm not 100% sure why Dr. Loomis agreed to go with them, but he seemed interested in, I guess, the adventure aspect of it all. And we learned that he had studied or worked with Dr. Alan Grant, name drop right there, Dr. Loomis.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think Dr. Loomis is related to Loomis from Halloween? You think?
Maybe it's all connected and it goes straight to the top, Brian. Um, I don't know. It's possible. What I do think though is that because this character, and this is one thing I loved, and I expected no less from this director, was a little bit of the extra character development for all of these characters, right? For Dr. Loomis, he was really sad. He was like 15 people came to the museum last week. Like 15 people came in the last week to look at these dinosaur bones. Nobody cares about this stuff anymore because it's not relevant to them because they've lived among us. But there is a great moment where he is out in the island and he sees like all of the dinosaurs kind of roaming around. He sees this group of really tall ones. I'm gonna get their name wrong. It is a Nope, nope. It's the Spinosaurus, I think. No, maybe not. I don't know. I'm gonna say it wrong. The Titanosaurus. There it
There you
is.
go. There you go.
Titanosaurus. They're
You got it.
huge. They're absolutely enormous. And he like has this moment, the way Dr. Grant had the moment when he saw the Triceratops, right? Like in the
Mhm.
first film. And it's this great, he's like really excited. He's like, this is amazing. And he gets to like hug one. And you see the detail of like the weird like hair slash feathering that's happening on like the
Yeah,
leg of this dinosaur,
the
which is
texture of
so
it.
cool
Yeah.
because in the original, right, they were made to look like they didn't have any of these things. Like and now it's a known fact that dinosaurs had these hairs or feathering kind of details to them. So I love that we're trying to keep up from a scientific perspective, like what the truth would look like and what these things would actually look like. That's really important to me.
hmm
But I thought that his character to me was kind of the most interesting because again he had understood like the importance of these animals. He had worked with Dr. Grant, so he definitely knew what could happen. And yet he was like, let me just go and join Scarlett Johansson in this island. And there's this really great like banter between the two of them because he cares about the
I mean,
world and she
I mean,
makes
if
it very
Scarlett
clear that she
Johansson
doesn't.
invites me on an expedition, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Yeah, I thought they had really good chemistry. Actually, that was probably like
Yeah.
the brightest spot of the film, I thought. And yeah, he's gonna go off on the expedition. I like they're kind of in pursuit of the first. Like I said, they have to get these three. I guess like I don't know like Megasauruses or whatever they're called, right? These are just like the biggest of the big ones, right? Because they have the biggest hearts, so that makes sense that you'd be able
Hmm.
to study those or get whatever from them. But I like he's very like has this like go-getter kind of like attitude. Like he wants to like go, like he wants to be the one to go out on the bow of the ship and fire in the dart. Even though uh even though Zora's like, no, you're gonna fall off, and then she falls off. Come on, Zora, what are you even talking about right there? But I like that. Like he's very like keen on the adventure. And it doesn't like ever seem to like overwhelm him, which on one hand is kind of unrealistic, but on the other hand, I'm like, good on you, Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like, I mean, Zora, she seems to be very like money hungry, right? Where he's like, why don't you care, what you should care more about the world when he tells her this, and she's like, maybe you should care less. Like maybe the problem is you.
Mhm.
Okay? Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna take my millions and I'm gonna go carve out a life and see you later. Um,
Yeah, and they do.
but
They try to tie that back to her a bunch of times, right? Because she does seem like pretty money hungry, and they like a couple of the characters make like offhand comments, be like, "Oh, if we have this stuff, then this drug could have like saved your mom or something like that." Like they're trying to get her to be like more emotionally invested in this, and she's like, "No, this is just a job." She's like, "You don't be like the best mercenary in the world by caring about stuff. That's not how it
right.
works."
That's not how it works. But we do see moments where she's like on the boat, she's staring off into the ocean, and her eyes are all glassy, and she looks like, she's just seen someone kick a puppy or something. Like she looks really upset, and then she has to like shake it off. Um, and it's clear that whatever choices she's made to be a mercenary has had an impact on her in a negative way, right? That she probably has some regrets. Somebody had died in her last mission, and she had to like go tell the wife, and that was really tough. Also, like her friend Duncan apparently lost a son. Not in the line of like their work, but you don't think, but we don't really know the whole story. But his relationship with his wife disintegrated because they couldn't get past it, and so I mean, all of these characters on this boat, they all are like they have layers to them, which I really like because in some of these like go get 'em, dinosaur films, they're very, like the two main characters have development, but everybody else is just a red suit, as it were, right? A red
Mhm.
shirt where it's like, you're gonna die and that's gonna suck for you later. That's gonna be cool to watch, but we don't know anything about you, so we're not even gonna feel bad about it. And I think
Right.
in this one, you feel bad about almost every single person because there was something that we knew about them. And it wasn't
Mhm.
just that they liked their equipment or they kept saying, "Oh, no way, man. Game over, man." It was
Yeah.
different.
Yeah, they had really good kind of I guess working relationships here. Like this crew, there are a couple of other characters here in the crew as well. Bashir Sylvian plays Leclerc, and Philippine Velge. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, as Nina or two others in the mercenary group. We hadn't mentioned them before because spoiler, they don't make it out of this thing here by the end of it. Let's talk a little bit about the pursuits of these dinosaurs, Michaela. So there are three, as I mentioned. The first one is the Mosasaurus. That's the water one. That's the one they feature most prominently in the trailers. So if you haven't watched the film, that's probably the one that you've seen. I think that this one looks pretty amazing, actually, as it's coming up, alongside of the ship. There's a great shot. I don't remember. I think it's after the family's boat. We'll circle back to that. It goes underneath, and like the dad is underwater, and you just see this thing like in the background, like all shadowy, and it's about 100 feet long, right? And behind him, like I thought that was a really good like horror like style shot, like alien kind of thing. I thought that was really cool. There's some really cool like horror themed shots here of kind of all of these creatures. But any highlights of the boat pursuits? Do you want to just jump into this family that's going across the Atlantic Ocean for some reason on summer
Yeah.
vacation?
Oh my gosh, this is not a good time to go into uncharted waters around the dinosaur. I don't know. So it's a known thing that the dinosaurs now stick around the equator because it's
Yeah,
warmer there, right? And they
this isn't like
decide,
Skull Island that no one can find. It's like
right,
it's like don't go to this island, people. Like
don't
literally
go to this
every government in the
island.
world, we finally agreed on something. Everyone in the world agrees,
Everyone,
don't go here.
don't go do this. Don't do this. So you got Ruben Delgado, played by Manuel Garcia Rofo. He is not a smart man. Maybe he's a good sailor, but he's not very smart because he decides to go into these waters that are definitely going to be infested with some sort of like water dinosaur. He's seen Jaws, right? He
Yeah.
probably saw Jaws. Jaws is
The
50. Like this
the
is Jaws
road
on steroids. This
the
is
road to Dinosaur Island and certain death is paved with good intentions here,
right, I
Ruben.
guess.
Come on.
So he and his two kids, and then one of the older one's useless boyfriend, that we think at the beginning anyway. We got Teresa and what is the other one? Nina? No, Teresa and Bella, Isabella. So Isabella's the little one. She's like maybe 10, 11 years old. She's really cute. And then Teresa is her teenager who manages to keep her shirt, one shouldered shirt, on exactly the way that it is in the boat throughout the entirety of the film. That is one thing that costumers, you guys need to fix that. That was too perfect. She looked like very 2025 the entire time. It was kind of strange.
She fixed it every time they were off screen. Her
I
boyfriend was there.
guess.
He
Yeah,
saved her
we're
life.
about to
You
die.
gotta,
We're about to die. He did save her life. He did. But this guy, this part was interesting because we had to have some sort of familial thing happening, right? Because that we try to do that in every single Jurassic Park World movie, right? Like
right?
Dr. Grant has to realize that kids don't just smell and they're not useless like in the first one. He has to care about them. In this one, there's this family dynamic where the boyfriend is real lazy. He's gone. I don't know how he finagled himself onto this ship because there's no freaking way as a parent I'd be like, yeah, I'm 16-year-old girlfriend, bring your boyfriend along who's not going to help and do anything with this ship,
Yeah.
right? There's no way that would actually happen in real life, especially in a family like that. I just don't think that that would work. But it happens in the movie, so that's great. But what thing that I find interesting is they see these things, these sail things out in the ocean, and they're like, "Uh-oh." Uh-oh, is it the thing? Is it the thing? And I'm like, is it the thing? Yes, it's the thing. They don't even know what it is, but they're like, there's a real big dinosaur underneath the water, and we have no idea like how big it is, but is it coming towards us? What are these flaps? Like the flaps are like 30, 40 yards away. Like, I mean, I'm like, is that the
Yeah.
tail? How big is this thing? Is this like the Meg, but it's like a dinosaur Meg? Like, I don't know. But it tips over the ship. They call for help, and Zora, in a moment of like humanity, is like, "We should go rescue them," and the executive guy Martin is like, "I don't care about any of these people. That's real sad for them, but we got to go and get our trillions of dollars worth of blood samples, guys." Um,
Yeah. I mean,
and
I don't know. I might be on board with Martin here in this instance. Yeah, because at first, like the family shows up, right, and they're in this infested water. I'm like, oh, like they're gonna get eaten by this dinosaur, or like the other, like the team of actual like mercenaries are gonna show up like right in the nick of time. But then it spent a little bit too much time with the family, so I'm like, oh, okay, so these people are in for the long haul for sure. Um, so yeah, that's kind of our first encounter. Obviously, they get the sample from the big one and end up being like basically like chased to shore because there's the other dinosaurs that like swim around the big dinosaur,
yeah,
the swim around the Mosasaurus, which is fine. I guess that makes sense, right? From like a aquatic fish standpoint, right? Since you have like little smaller like schooling fish that swim around these big things and kind
hmm
of like pick off the leftovers. That makes sense. That makes sense. They get washed ashore and then they're on their own. So basically, the family gets separated because they. The one daughter falls off the ship. The boyfriend jumps in after. Like that, I thought that was pretty good because he was like completely useless. And then like the absolute second the like disaster struck, he like jumped into action. I was like, oh, that's good. Good on you, kid. That's good. He gets there. The family's separated, so they're off on their own adventure to run into some more familiar dinosaurs, I guess, from the Jurassic Park, Jurassic World. And our team of like mercenaries and Martin are on their way and to get the other samples and then make their way to kind of like this little like encampment kind of thing that was set up on the island, where a helicopter is supposed to be coming by in 24 hours to pick them up. So that's not too bad. You only have to make it a day. That seems doable for the team. Um, as soon as they get off of the boat and they start going like into this, and some people are like being picked off from the team a little bit. This felt I don't know. This felt so much like Predator, the film Predator to
Mm.
me. They were really like leaning into that vibe, or it felt very much like they were being stalked and they were being like taken out like one by one, kind of thing. So I liked that quite a bit. Predator, a film we need to talk about here at some point. So let's go ahead and get into the second one here, Michaela. That was the what is it called? It is called the uh, Quetzalcoatlus, I think. Definitely not
Yeah.
pronouncing that correctly, but it is a flying beast of death.
So flying beasts of death. So this was the last one that they did because the first one was in the ocean. The second one was that really
Oh,
huge
they did
one.
the
This was the third
Titanosaurus.
one.
Okay, yeah.
But they came up with a great idea, I think, for this one. They were like, "Look, this is the size of like a 747." He said it wasn't that big, or an F-16. He was like, "This thing is huge." So finding it and like shooting it and getting the sample from it is a
Mm.
really hard thing to do. So I got a great idea. Let's climb off a cliff that's
Hmm. Hmm.
500 feet tall and find their nest of eggs because that's not going to piss it off at all. And then we could just use the DNA that's in the amniotic fluid
Mm. Hmm.
around
Yeah,
the egg, right, without killing the egg. That'll be nice. So
that
they
makes
take
sense.
this giant needle. I mean, yeah, sure, it does for sure. So they and
The
and
best
and
the best part
luckily
about this,
enough,
the best part
they have
about
all
this
this
is
climbing equipment.
they have all this climbing equipment. These are pros, Michaela. That makes sense. My favorite part is Dr. Loomis is like he's like, well, there's a climbing wall at my gym. It only goes 24 feet though. So,
That's fine. He's like, yeah, there's like, okay, so this is 20 of those. That'll be great. I love how Zora looks down and she's like 513, maybe 515 feet. I'm like, Zora, what kind of depth perception do you have, honey? All that means to me is that's a no. But yeah, they've run amok. Their ship it was cut up by rocks, but they managed to have all and they had to get all of the really cool stuff out of the ship. Remember, it was all in a pack.
mhm.
Like they were two big packs, and so apparently their climbing equipment made it. So that's great. Those ropes looked really, really thin. That's all I'm gonna say. They looked like they were actually like ropes from like I don't know, Indiana Jones back in the 20s, like
Mm.
1920s. They didn't look like real high grade climbing ropes, and we see that later. But they get down there and they manage to go and get the DNA from an egg, but they piss off this Quetzalcoatl thing um, really badly. It ends up killing the Lamarck, Lemers,
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
the French dude, which makes me sad because he at least was like, "Y'all are nuts. This is a real bad idea." The whole time, he's like,
Yeah.
"This is stupid. I don't know why I'm doing this for you.
He's,
I'm
it's
gonna
like, couldn't
sleep
we
on this
call
boat.
the helicopter right now instead of
Like,
tomorrow?
couldn't we just
Can
let's
we
just
do
let him
that?
know?"
Yeah. Yeah. The
So
the Quetzalcoatl like climbing up the cliff wall is like the scariest looking thing I've ever seen.
yeah, it's got this weird beak. Like it's really one thing I really liked about this is that they used a lot of the same similar tropes that we've seen before, but they used it in such a cunning and clever way. It felt new to me.
Hmm.
So there's like a scene where they're running from a dinosaur in a grocery store, like and there's aisles and it's very, very reminiscent of the first film for me, but I didn't realize that until later when I was
Hmm.
thinking about the
Hmm.
movie because they kind of did it in a very different way. And I liked that because, again, just like the Jurassic Parks, where they need to create more thrills and more excitement for their audiences, and that's why it drove them to mutate dinosaurs into bigger and better and more teeth.
Hmm.
Our audience is wanting to be entertained more, more bigly every time as well. So they had to figure out a way to keep this fresh while still, showing us all the things that we want to be seen.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think like that the Mosasaurus I think was featured in the first Jurassic World thing. It was one of the exhibitions I think there, for sure. Yeah, so that is that. Let's circle back to the Titanosaurus here, real quick. That was pretty cool. I like the character design of it. Kind of like it was very like whimsical looking. It had this like crazy long tail. It was like the length of like a football field, this little tail, and it just kind of like starts to like come up out of the grass, and then rises up this huge beast, which I thought was pretty cool. And there were like two of them, so I don't know if they were like if they were doing some sort of like mating thing because they had their necks kind of intertwined or whatever the case was there. But they get the sample from that, and that was pretty cool. I did like the little like design of the little like sample thing because it's like a little
Yeah.
canister and then it like ejects itself off of there and floats down on a parachute. I thought that was pretty neat, but I thought that then the shot was really cool because it kind of like pulls back into this valley and there's just like hundreds of these things. So I thought that was really neat
Yeah.
and pretty cool looking. And now that we have all three of the samples, it's time to get out of there. So they make their way back to the park. We could talk about this the Delgado family here a little bit if you want to, Michaela, kind of on their journey. Like I said, they're kind of or they're having like run-ins with more of like the traditional, I guess, dinosaurs that we remember from Jurassic Park. So they run into like the Dilophosaurus, right? The one that like spits and has the crazy thing
Hmm.
on its neck. They run into the T-Rex that kind of chases
Mm.
them down the river, which kind of harkens back to something that happens in the original book. So that was kind of neat. But any thoughts on their journey, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up.
Yeah, I find it interesting that the youngest Isabella just, takes the
Oh, we have to
Dilophosaurus.
we have to talk about the little tiny dinosaur too.
Yeah, the Aqualops. That's it. That's it. The Aqualops. Isabella decides to name her Dolores. I was like, this is like Dora the Explorer on steroids. She's like, I'm gonna put it in my backpack and I'm gonna take it with me everywhere.
Hmm.
And it's so cute. It is so cute. I mean, and you're like, any minute now she's gonna eat her face, but I guess it's fine. Um,
It only eats
somehow.
plants. It's fine.
It's fine. No, it is. It is totally fine. It manages to like follow them because they think they lose her when during the Tyrannosaurus Rex moment, which is pretty terrifying. I mean, they have like this rubber boat, right? That somehow makes it through like the Tyrannosaurus touches it and like with its claws and tries to eat it and it still doesn't like, get hit or get blown up. You're very excited over there. What did you see? Did we notice that the Dilophosaurus is the same thing from Land Before Time? Did we notice that?
Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty close. It is pretty close. Or you mean the Aqualops is very
The
close to
Aqualops. I keep saying the Dilophosaurus, and I mean the Aqualops.
her name is Sarah from Land
Yeah.
Before Time. On a side note. No, I was like there's a very cute Dolores interactive toy that I'm looking at right now, so probably gonna get that. Probably gonna get that. And Dolores kind of along from the ride. She's very skittish, right? She runs off. As you do when a T-Rex is around, you don't run up to it. But I like that. They did trick me a little bit because the one daughter goes in to get like the raft out of this thing, and then like it's actually like it's pretty cool. Like more horror stuff here because you have the giant like T-Rex is like laying there like taking a nap, right? Like sunning itself on the shores of this little river there, and then she's dragging out this giant crate that has the raft in it, and it like the camera like goes down and it shows you this label on the crate that's like inflate on land, I think is what it said, or something like that, something along
Hmm.
those lines. I'm like, oh, so she's gonna like drag it into the water and it's not gonna inflate right or something like that, and that's gonna be a thing. But no, she stops and inflates it on the dock. And as it inflates, basically, covers the screen and then the T-Rex is gone. And I'm like, that thing's too big to just be gone. That's frightening. Get in the raft and go.
Like get in the raft right now. Like they should have been a little bit more prepared, I feel like. But also the one thing, if I could critique this scene, okay, the one thing that I would have changed is we made a huge deal in the first Jurassic Park movie, right? Where when the Tyrannosaurus Rex even walks, you can see it in the water, you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a big deal because it is like thousands and thousands and thousands of tons. Like it's such a big mass that
Right.
is just
Hmm.
boom, boom, boom. Yeah. In 1 second, like it gets up and like moves to the other side of the river. We don't see it. We don't feel it. We don't do it. And he does it so fast. Like that didn't make any sense. It was terrifying, but it didn't make sense. I was like, yeah, we would have known exactly where the hell that thing was. Okay. We would have known. We would have known. Um, but this scene was great because it was just like any minute now, this Tyrannosaurus Rex is gonna eat all four of them, and it's gonna be really sad. because then the little Aquasaurus is going to be like, I told you, you should have moved. You should have run away.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
I was kind of surprised that the whole family made it out, if I'm being completely honest, by the
100%.
end of the film. But yeah, so Dolores runs off, of course. This is now just a story about Dolores. But it shows back up at the end, right? Everyone kind of makes it to this, I don't know, like place that they have, or the lab. They make it to the lab that we see in the intro of the film. They're looking kind of at these like canisters of mutated dinosaurs. That's kind of scary and pretty neat visually there. And of course we have one last kind of encounter with that gigantic scary dinosaur. The what's it called? The something terrible.
Oh,
The
the
Distortus
Tassac,
Rex. The Distortus Rex comes
yeah.
back, right, to make an appearance here at the end, and kind of chase everyone out of there. So it ends up killing our our money guy, right? The
Yeah.
what's his name? Martin kills
Martin.
kills Martin. So see ya, Martin. Bad luck there. But everyone else is able to get out. It kind of plays on the same trope, like you can't like see movement. So they're trying to get Duncan's trying to like distract it and get it out of the way. I think Duncan meets his end, but Duncan shows back up. He is able to survive and get out of there. And about then the helicopter shows up. They do a pretty good job, I think, with this Distortus Rex of keeping it pretty well hidden. You do kind of just get like some like very like brief glimpses of its face. And reading like an interview with kind of the designers of this thing, they said that they wanted to make it look obviously like terrifying, but also like you would feel like kind of bad for this creature that has been like
Yeah.
like scientifically like mutated, and you kind of do like it has this weird like bulbous head, and it just doesn't look right, and like it looks very much like it knows that it is not right, which is kind of frightening. And I guess they base kind of the design on obviously on like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's wearing like this like suit that's kind of like a mashup between like the xenomorph from the alien world and the
Mm.
rancor from the Star Wars world. So I thought that like the design of it was really cool, and I thought that that was pretty well done there at the end.
Yeah, no, I really liked it because it's got these little baby T-Rex arms, but then it's got these four other like arms that reminded me actually of like uh, is it General Grievous who's got like the
Oh yeah,
six
yeah, yeah.
arms in
Hmm.
yeah, kind of in Star Wars. It was kind of this because they were more on his back, these arm looking things, and then they've got these little baby T-Rex arms. Um, Yeah, this guy was terrifying. And Duncan, he was like, I'm gonna take care of the kids because he'd already lost a son. So he was like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. Luckily, that doesn't happen. Yeah, what one thing I really like is we think that the helicopter is gonna save them, and then this thing just takes the helicopter out like it's a toy. And so you're like, ooh, okay. So they find a boat. The boat still works after 17 years of not working. Find that to be real interesting. Again, plot holes. But they end up making it. They're going to take this little riverboat across the ocean until they find something.
It's
And
better than it's
better than
better than
staying there where they surely will die or at least starve to death. I don't know.
I would
Um,
say it's better than the Delgado's boat.
That's true. That's true. Because this one has a motor. So they get the heck out of there. And they're all kind of sitting around, kind of wondering at their life. And Zora comes to her senses. They still have the samples of DNA. And so, the whole idea was that they were going to make now at first it was going to be 10, then it was going to be $20 million for these. Now she's like,
Mm-hmm.
let's open source it. Let's, call your friends because apparently Dr. Loomis has all these friends who are also DNA experts that can like turn that into some sort of computer code that we can then open source it to the world and say, here, go do with it what you can. I did find this piece because this was really like a blanket statement on like what is happening from a pharmaceutical perspective in our world. And
Hmm.
I found that
Right.
really interesting because as humans, we want to be unextinct, right? We never want to go extinct. We want to be able to live as long as we can. And there is with COVID, we all had to kind of come together and share things for humanity. It didn't stop the pharmaceutical companies from making bazillions of dollars, but I find it interesting that this kind of idea that hey, for the greater good, maybe it's not about the money. Maybe we really need to make sure that everybody gets a chance at healthiness and if we're gonna like learn something from the work that we've done, from a scientific perspective that everybody should learn from it and everybody should benefit, not just the people that can afford it or, have the right insurance or whatever. And I mean, it's again, it's very Americanized centric because, both of these folks were from an American like healthcare system. But I found that to be kind of interesting, where it talks about kind of relays the idea of pharmaceuticals and science in general. Science is
Mhm.
for everybody. Everybody benefits the more we learn about the world, even if they're extinct dinosaurs. Everybody benefits. Um, maybe then we'll learn to read a map and not take our kids into the middle of the ocean where they are.
Yeah, Delgado's for sure. Yeah, but that's okay because Isabella is able to smuggle cute little Dolores off the island there. So maybe Dolores is going to be Jurassic World Rebirth Part 2. It's just going to be about Dolores running amok in the
That would be
city or something.
cute.
I don't know. That would be pretty good. That would be pretty good. Um, yeah, and then yeah, that's kind of where it ends. It's kind of interesting, I thought, because you know, presumably, by this point, when you're talking about something, like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, like certainly this was obviously, kind of a not like a start over because it felt very much like a continuation and an homage to the original films there. But presumably this is setting up a new like world of Jurassic World, right? It's like a new like series of things to come about. But like the more I think about it, like I'm not really 100% sure that it did like a very good job of laying the groundwork for what's to come next. Like it felt very self-contained, so maybe that was the intention. Like maybe
Mm.
we're just maybe in this day and age of movie watching and 29 Marvel films over the course of 5 years, where maybe we're just like expecting it. Maybe this was just done as like a one-off kind of a thing. Maybe they're just going to do like these like one-off kind of Jurassic World stories because it didn't feel like it laid any groundwork for anything to come beyond this necessarily.
Right.
In fact,
Yeah.
they closed more doors than they opened. Really.
But that is exactly how it felt in my mind with the first Jurassic Park, right? Like when The Lost World came
Well,
out, I wasn't even going to watch it. I was like, really? And then I realized it was a book that actually had been written. So I was like, all right, I'll go read the book and I'll go watch the movie. But
all
I
right.
was like, this was a story and it had a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Mhm.
And it wasn't going to be continued. So maybe they're going to do something like that. Um, I don't know. I
They're
don't know.
running out of islands. And
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And I like that they didn't do a 28 years later kind of on this where they're like take the last three and just throw them in the trash. We're gonna start over. Like it
right.
wasn't it wasn't a rebirth in the sense that like it wasn't a reboot in the sense that we can just dismiss what happened. Like those things still happened. Okay. All right,
Mhm.
fine. But we have kind of a new like just a new take on it because of this island that they had. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So I guess we'll see how it goes from there. This thing is doing gangbusters at the box office. We have Superman is out by the time you're listening to this, probably. So we'll see what that does for its next week. But this was fun. Like I mean, it wasn't without flaws. It had the score was interesting. I thought. I just wanted to make quick note of that here. So the score was done by Alexander Desplat, who is certainly much better at his job than I am at mine. But it seemed like it was trying to tie in like the John Williams music a little bit more than I would have liked. I would have liked it to just kind of go a little bit more in its own direction. I mean, certainly have to give like a wink and a nod to that, of course. That's required, but it felt like it was trying to, you know, it felt like it was trying to make it happen more than it was just
mhm.
kind of happening naturally. So that was kind of my thoughts on there. Um, Another quick aside for the music. Michaela is apparently Jonathan Bailey, who played Dr. Loomis, also performed in the orchestra. He's playing the clarinet. He apparently played clarinet in high school, so he wanted to go to like the uh, the the recording for the thing. So let him sit in with the orchestra and play along with it. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty awesome. Jonathan Bailey is like everywhere right now, you know? For those of you who don't know, I mean he was obviously in Wicked. But before he was in Wicked, he was in Bridgerton. He's been in a couple of other things that come out in the next year. He's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's amazing. He
Onwards
started
and
out as
upwards.
Gavroche in Les Mis. Did you know that?
Oh, well, there you go. I did
Yeah,
not.
he was
So
like a
there you go.
kid. So cute. Yeah.
There you go. Absolutely. So, all right. Well, that is going to wrap it up here for Jurassic World Rebirth. Hopefully, you've had a chance to go out and see it, or if not, let us know what your favorite Jurassic Park film is. And if you happen to make a Velociraptor cocktail, make sure you take a picture and send that our way. You can do that on any of our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, and Facebook.com/Drink the Movies. You can go to the website, which is www.drinkthemovies.com. There you can find episode recaps, pictures of the cocktails we make, links to the merchandise shop, links to Drink the Video Games, and also links to the Patreon, which is patreon.com/drinkthemovies. We appreciate our patrons over there so much. We do fun stuff like hangouts and cocktail chats and bonus episodes. All that stuff can be found there. Again, that is patreon.com/drinkthemovies. Michaela, we're back at the movie theater again next week for Superman, which I just mentioned a minute ago. So people are going to want to make sure that they're following along our summer of madness here as we just tick off like blockbuster after blockbuster after blockbuster. So, where can they follow along with the podcast and leave us a review? That would help. Where can they do that?
They can help. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, anywhere where Spotify podcasts are distributed and supported. I guarantee if you're listening to us right now, there's a subscribe button. And if you press that button, you're going to get all of this wholesome goodness twice a week. You're going to get our lobby bar, which happens at the beginning of the week. We talk about what's going on in the box office and make a really easy cocktail that even you can make and enjoy. Then we do our deep dives like the one you just listened to. If you're liking what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Share us on all the social media sites. You guys have done an amazing job building this community of people who love cocktails and all things movies, music, and video games. And it really helps us get all the drink the movies out there.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up here for episode 225, Jurassic World Rebirth. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
Drink
the
the
movies.
Movies. Something about dinosaurs.
Is it the big one? Is it the big one? Yes.